Man, this last weekend has been a big one. People are walking around with goggles on their face. They're touching stuff in the sky. And what can we say about this? They spent $3,400 in order for them to be part of the initial release of the Apple Vision Pro headset. Now, this has been the talk for probably the last few months, following Apple's release at their convention. And what has this proven to us today? So the finance bros have come together to really discuss this, right? Because what it seems like is that there's a different story that's being told out here than I initially thought in the onset. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring up two gentlemen, brothers to the channel, both of them accomplished in their own right, and they're going to have a conversation with us about what they think about what's happening in the last couple of days, right? So without further ado, we're going to bring up a brother who's helped me to really formulate a relationship with someone who's not only comes from a similar background to myself, but also someone who allowed themselves to grow within their journey on the way to financial freedom. And without further ado, we're going to bring up the Intentional Millionaire.
Hey, how's it going there, Sim? What's going on?
salute, man. So look, as a millionaire, right? You know, as a documented millionaire and someone who's been involved in business and also just been involved in accumulating your own wealth, what can you say about what you've seen the last few days with the release of the Apple Vision Pro headset and the things that you've seen on social media yourself? What's your first initial thought when you're seeing people walk around in the public and they're touching things and they're moving around in their comings and goings?
My first thing is that consumerism is at an all-time high. Because as we coming out of last year where we was at inflation at all-time high, just the cost of everything going up, but people able to find money to still buy electronics and products. I just think it shows that people going to spend money regardless, even if they have the money or not. So it's about really in this era, you could take advantage of the opportunity to build a brand, because at this point, I just think it's about branding.
I mean, exactly, right? So, I mean, the whole idea of now we're posing the Apple headset up against the Meta Oculus Pro. Now, I looked it up, Tim. $999 for the high-end Oculus Pro. $3,400 for the Apple Vision Pro. Now, to me, what it says is that, okay, now it's not so much money is the deciding power. It's exactly what you just said. It's branding. It's about the ecosystem. It's about fitting in. It's about being able to speak to the product that's being recently released. So without further ado, we're going to bring up our next brother to the channel. He's no stranger to the channel. And what he's going to speak to is someone who's also a documented millionaire in his own right. And what I can say that I like from my connection with Perry Unlikely is that he has systems in place that allow him, in order for him to be able to be involved in different aspects of real estate, you know? So from the standpoint of someone who's doing multiple things, from the mobile home business, from the rental real estate himself, and also just being involved in home ownership and assessing his local market and being involved in the home sales in his given area. What does he think about the recent release of the Apple Vision Pro headset? Salute, Perry.
Salute. How's it going, gentlemen?
Man, doing good. So yeah, tell us what you think, man, from your standpoint. What do you make of the recent release? Now, I'll say this. I'll preface this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an owner in Apple. Not only am I an owner, I also own the products. Not only am I an owner and I own the products, I'm a former Apple hater. Like 2022 was when I actually came over to the dark side. I call it the Coke. You know what I mean? Take a bite of the apple, right?
Right.
So I came over to the dark side in 2022. So I'm fresh. Matter of fact, Perry, this marks 2 years, almost 2 years for me that I've been on the dark side. Now I did own a MacBook Pro, so you know that's when I got instant into the community. But it wasn't until I actually bought the cell phone when I started really being sold out. So tell us what you think, man.
Yeah, man. And I've had Apple, man, since I can remember. I guess I know at least going back to at least I want to say 2010, 11, somewhere around there. Well, put it this way: I have not had every Apple phone, but I've had it. I've had one since the 4, right? So I did not have the 3, the original, basically. And then I skip, like I don't run out and get the new one every single year or whatever. But yeah, man, as far as this, it just never ends, really, right? And at some point, as I see all these, because I watch a lot of tech videos, I haven't watched a lot lately, but I do keep up with it to a degree. It makes me wonder, you know, I guess what's the end point? And I guess there won't be one, right? So I start to question, do all these things really enhance your life? Because if you think about it, I can look back and say, okay, back before it was common for everybody to have a cell phone. I mean, people had them, but it's not like everyone had one. And people could function. And I think there was almost a degree of peace then. Now it's like all these new things, and they're flashy and getting more and more and more immersive. I think they're just becoming to a point. I think you have to ask yourself the question, you know, at what point does the benefit, you know, start to cross over to where it's either unhealthy or causing more of a problem, right? And we don't know all these effects yet from just looking at the screen all day long as we do already. And even more so now that we use smartphones, tablets, and now with this. So I think it's real interesting. I do think there's one thing for people to go out and buy Jordans, right? Or just things like that. But what I really am interested in about these this new product is, how is it going to enhance someone's life? Or is it essentially a phone, you know, a computer, a phone, and a TV all in one? And it's just cooler. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, people walking around in the street, moving their hands and stuff like that. So I'm very interested to get into this today for sure.
Man, that's a great point that you actually stated right there. So Tim, think about it, right? So you're walking around with a $3,000-$4,000 item, right? It's on your face. Now, the security of it is limited because if someone grabs the front of it, right, snatches it and runs with it, you could literally lose your $3,000-$4,000 item right there just in a moment's notice, right? Mm-hmm. One thing that I've seen that I like, and maybe we could, Tim, we can ask you this question, right? Because you're not actually completely part of the cult, right? You're partially part of the cult, Tim, but not fully part of the cult, right?
That's correct. I have some of all products.
Right? Okay. All right. So with that said, what is your thought? Because like, I don't know about Perry, but I have a thought about like the ability to be able to steal Apple products. I want to know, what is your thought on the idea as someone who owns all products, right? Do you think that it's worth it for somebody to steal an Apple product in today's time, in your opinion?
No, I don't think it's worth nobody stealing any product, to be honest with you. Because I think the risk, so as far as Apple go, no, because the security features.
Exactly.
You basically setting yourself up to get caught.
Exactly. I mean, it's a closed loop system now, you know, like the way that they have it with Find My. So Find My, Tim, is it's almost like a service that they use to find all your different products that you have connected to your Apple Cloud account. So your Apple Cloud is really like the heart of your products. So you cannot have an item that you cannot connect to your Apple Cloud account. If it cannot be connected to your Apple Cloud account, it might as well be a paperweight, right? So if it's like if it has like an Apple Cloud lock, or if it has some sort of blockage that keeps you from being able to connect to the Apple Cloud, then it's pretty much useless. So if you steal someone's Apple Vision Pro, you're not going to go nowhere with it, right? You will have it and you might be able to strip it for parts, but it'll be useless, just like you said. Now, Perry, you stated something. You said that you don't know how different it is than your cell phone if it creates an opportunity for you to be able to take surfaces that were otherwise unusable and use those. Do you think that in maybe, let's say in your work, right? Let's say that your work requires for you to manage like multiple core functions, right? Let me see if I can pull something up. Let's say like you can take like surfaces, like let's say like maybe like on a wall, right? Let's say that you need to move some functions from needs to be done, or what I've seen is people being able to walk around their house and they have multiple surfaces. On the refrigerator, they might have a to-do list, right? On their TV, they might have like a movie that they're playing. On maybe like a separate monitor, they might have like one project that they're doing, so they can have like, let's say, think about how, when you're at home, the benefits of having multiple monitors, right?
Right.
So if you can take your headset, now you might not need to buy multiple monitors. Now you can have multiple surfaces that you're working in, and you're literally using your fingers, or you just really just doing the core functions that you would do right here in hardware, but you're doing them in software. So do you feel like that stuff would be a good enough reason for you to go ahead and spend the $3,000 in order for you to go ahead and have the first release of this product?
To me, that's the key reason it'd be worth it, is if you travel and just the ease of being able to do that. Now, I'd be skittish about like not being able to see what's around me. That's weird to me, but that's the key reason for me, is like, you think about if you travel and being in an airport, and you got your phone, you got all this looking around. If you're talking about having that and just being able to, hey, just real quickly use that and very simply, man, I can really see that helping. Not to mention also just the aspect of, even if you're on the plane, right, being able to do that. But it does make you wonder at some point. You all remember, and this is for the old heads, because I still see, I'm talking about old heads, I still see them do it. You ever see like the old heads with they still got the old Bluetooth, the big old long one, and they still be talking on them? And sometimes you think they're talking to you. And it's forever for getting used to it. It was that type of thing for a while. It was like, you had to get used to it. Like, oh, you talking to me? Oh, he's talking to himself. Oh, it's like, I just see it as one of those things where, are we going to be weird? Just a bunch of us. That I don't like the detachment. That's the concern I have over it. Just the image of me like sitting at the house and my kids being here, and me on this doing my own thing, which people do with phones anyway, but like flat out ignoring family and important communication and aspects of life is where I think we're headed. I know we're headed there. We've already reached that, right? People go watch TV in separate rooms now. So that's the aspect that I most am concerned about. But as far as regarding the use for it, to me, that would be the main use for it is, but I don't see myself sitting in my office at work, moving stuff to the side. And I just don't see that personally, but I can see where traveling and things like that, there's definitely probably added benefit. But now, is that price tag worth it? Maybe after somebody else works the kinks out and they start to do deals, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's worth it at this point.
What do you think, Sam? You think at $3,400, at what point, like how much does it need to improve your life in order for it to justify that actual purchase price, in your opinion?
For me, it's about productivity. If you spend $3,500 and you don't make $3,500 worth of productivity, then it's not worth it. I think that's one perspective to look at, but also too, I think the other perspective is it ready for prime time? Is the next question. Because let's be honest, since the passing of Steve Jobs, I think Apple just haven't been doing a great job with product launches. It's not the Apple of the past. It's the Apple of the new, and they release a lot of stuff that has especially a lot of software bugs. So if you notice, every time a new OS come out on Apple products, within a week is already one security update, and then 2 weeks is another one. So you normally go about 6 weeks of updates before you get something a little bit more stable. So
Good point. Very good point.
I mean, if we're being honest, though, wouldn't you guys say that we're test subjects for a lot of these products? You know, like they probably roll out these products probably at 85-90% functionality, and then they just really expect the consumers to really help them work out the kinks. You know, because I would say that a lot of these products, especially even me buying into Apple, a lot of times when software updates come out, they usually come ahead of some of the product providers having them. So then what it ends up doing is it ends up disconnecting that connection between you and your peripheral product or your external tool. So you essentially have to wait like a month in order for the companies, the manufacturers, to actually have the information in order for you to actually do an update on your given tool, where you can actually have the functionalities like they were really originally intended to have. But it's not something that happens like in a real smooth manner. And they're even saying right now this is actually in beta too, right? So what you're saying, Tim, you're saying productivity, and then Perry's also saying the same thing. If it makes you productive and it helps you really connect to the stuff that you need to do, and it allows you to be efficient, yeah, it makes sense. You know, that's really interesting, you know, because I would have thought that you guys would have said no, man. You know, like we can't afford to be really making that move at this given moment right now. We need to be holding off on making such purchases, because, you know, there's other things that people can be focusing on spending their money. But I mean, that's you guys giving your opinion as a successful man who can see how they can really apply it towards your specific purpose compared to people who just want it just for novelty purposes. You know,
but let me just add this, but let's really state the obvious though. The obvious is most people is not getting it for productivity. Most people is not getting it for those things. They're getting it for the novelty. It's more for the talking points and for social media.
Yep.
And most of them not even getting it for social media from a perspective of promoting their business and channel. It's more of the cool factor. And let me have something to talk about and show the family so I can brag at the family get-togethers. To me, it's no different than, you know, and I think this a great tie-in. To me, it's no different than, you know, somebody bragging about the college they went to when they didn't get no free money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're getting a degree that's not marketable. So
That's a good I think that's a good point. I think it's a real good point.
it's the same concept. It's just about the bragging rights and the talking points. Because I think most people, they do stuff and they don't even know why they're doing it. If you ask most people that have one right now, they couldn't tell you why they even bought one. It's like a new car.
More than likely, I mean, to me, it's just a hot item right now. And along the lines, I think was it you, Tim, that said that the product launches are you said that you felt like the product releases haven't been the same. I agree with you. I think that they're probably a lot more aggressive with Tim Cook there than Steve Jobs would have ever been. And I think that's part of the reason why they wanted to kind of move him out of the way, because he wasn't really prioritizing increasing the profit margin. He was increasing like the value position of the company and the brand altogether. Let's not be in a rush for us to release something. Let's wait. Let's cultivate it. Let's make it really unique. Let's make sure that it's something that the people will really, really appreciate. And let's establish that cult following that we already have. And let's make sure that we are doing things that don't compromise our integrity. I mean, there's a running joke that's going on right now where they're saying that the Apple 16 has no changes, no improvements. You know, if you want to see any changes, you're going to have to wait until the Apple 17. So it's along those same conversations that, okay, yeah, you guys are releasing another product, but then you guys are not doing any real improvements to it, but you're doing it just because you want to release a new product. But I mean, I don't know if people who are in leadership are really in position to say, hey, let's kind of prioritize our cult following that initially got on this journey with us for the really, really unique products and not the multiple iterations of the same exact product that are out there with very small and subtle changes. What do you guys think?
But
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I think it's niche market anyway. That's the product is really designed for the most loyal customers because it's no different than somebody buying a Honda Accord and buying a Bentley. It's niche. The Bentley is niche. I think the Provision is a niche product, and it's just something to one. It's the beta test for something they're gonna make it more when they bring the cost down and make it more consumer friendly, where more a vast majority of the population can get it, or they'll come out with a tweaked version of it that's a lot more affordable, but they have cheaper electronics, less functionality, so forth and so on.
Yeah, I was looking, and it looks like the first 10 days of pre-orders, 200,000 sold. So I think the math on that, what, 3,500 is that 700 million? That's like, I think that's correct. In the first
Let me do that math.
that's just all right. Yeah. Make sure.
What did you say? 200 what?
200,000 in the first 10 days of pre-order. So that's at 3,500 a piece. And I think, and they're projecting to sell at least, I think, 400,000 this year. So there'll be another, there'll be a wave, right? There'll be a wave of them. I guess I'm sure around Christmas time, you'll see a lot of them. But that was just in 10 days of pre-sale.
That's wild, man. $700 million spent out there. I mean,
Yes.
either on the Goldman Sachs cards or just general credit cards in general. We're already $1 trillion in debt as a society. Do we really need an additional 700 million in transactions to go out there into the marketplace? Yeah, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's really a lot. And I was looking at you think about $3,500, man. Let's face it, that's not $200. You know what I'm saying? That's not just throwaway. Now some people act like it is, but it's just not. I mean, certainly if you look at the average person. So yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. That's the first 10 days of pre-order.
I mean, that's car money, really, right? So
yeah. That's what Dave Ramsey would tell you to go get.
To get a $4,000 car. Now, I bought a car in 2019. I think in 2019, I paid $3,500 for a car. But I mean, I ultimately ended up getting some money back for it. So I was able to pay right at $2,000 for it. But that's a lot of money. And really, even in me thinking about it, as someone who's a buy-in into the Apple community, I ended up spending almost $3,000 for a laptop in 2020. So I'm due for another laptop potentially, if I really want to improve my speed. So I'm gonna have to fork up something close to like $3,000 for that laptop, So you're choosing between a laptop and a set of and a headset, So I don't even know. That's a hell of a decision right there, It's wild. I mean, to add insult to injury, the people who are also being evicted out of apartments, the people who are being laid off from jobs, and still this company was still able to get people to spend $700 million on their product release, right? What is Peter Investor M says? He says Apple products an extension tool, right? They still need to be creative. They still need to be creative on its utility, which is better, tools or the person skills. Well, This is a good question though. So, Tim, I'll let you go ahead and go with it. I guess maybe we should maybe hone in on the question a little bit. Which is better in what regard, Peter Investor Am, in the case of Apple, which is better, the tools or the person skills? Maybe the person to person skills.
Well, I would say if you're talking about from a company perspective, it's going to be some of both. In this case, with Apple product, it's the tools is the better. But if you're talking about individual, it's going to be the person skills. But the person skills should eventually lead to tools because that's what make an organization function. When you really think about it. Because you need the person skills to get the people in to do the work, and then you need to provide them the tools so they could do the work efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think, Perry? In reference to what Apple's position is, do you think that it is better for them to have the tools, or for them to really hone in on just like the people skills within Apple overall?
You're saying, do I think it's better for, like, you're saying the individual to hone in on their skills versus having those tools that Apple's providing?
No, so Peter Investor, and he's saying that of course that Apple are extension tools, right? He
Mm-hmm.
said they still need to be creative on its utility, on its usefulness, right?
Right.
So which is better? Is it better for them to have impressive tools, or it'd be great if he really could really speak to it, or is it better for them to really have people? This is tools or the person skills. Yeah, I want to say that he's probably talking about Apple's value of basically. Okay, here we go. Basically, is the product geared to the company, or is it geared towards an individual as a whole?
I just think it's geared towards the company, honestly.
Which one? You talking about the headset in general?
I think a lot of Apple products in general are geared towards. Well, I don't know. I think some of a phone is a phone, right? But I still think, just in the way that you spoke earlier, right? The way that some of these technologies, let's face it, Apple's got the next 3 phones already. It's just like a slow roll. And to me, if the whole mission was really equipping people those tools and really pushing into the future, you put the best out there, you roll it out, and you go create. You create cutting edge. And that's what Apple used to do. I mean, Apple, they were really rolling out new stuff big time back in the day. But it seems like, and some neat stuff too, but it seems like they reached a point where it's like, oh crap, these phones make so much. We can just slow roll it and rinse and repeat with these. I've got the 12 Max, man, and I'm actually reaching the point where I do need to get another one. But I'm not going to spend hardly anything, right, to get it. But the thing is am I convinced that the 12 and the 15 that it's going to ooh and ah me? Nope. I don't think it is. I just think they build on a little bit. But I still think Apple, and I like Apple. I'm a big fan. I've had some form of Apple product for at least going on 15 years. And so I really do like them. But at the end of the day, I think it's fancy packaging. I think a lot of it is fancy packaging.
I mean,
people can't afford. A lot of people can't anyway.
I think it's like a class play. The way that I've looked at it from the outside before I joined the cult, I feel like it becomes like a class thing where people start judging you based upon your phone. People don't want you in the group chats because they say that you turn the group chats green, just that kind of stuff. It becomes a sectioned off community of people who are part of a cult following. And I think that they really enjoy that, and it's to their benefit. And to really answer the question myself, I'd say that one of the key marketing factors is that they did not really lead with just a product alone, but they wanted to lead with the value that the product is really going to add to your life. They want to be able to show you, hey, with our products, this is what you can do, right? Compared to their products. Like if you want just a tool that's just going to do the work, yeah, that's one thing. But if you want something that's really going to be like an easy addition into your life and it's going to be seamless, yeah, come and join us. I mean, I'm just sitting up here thinking about people walking around with the headset. It's not like the Oculus where it's going to be completely blocked. It's a transparent glass where people can see through so they can see what's going on. I still say just like a cell phone, you know, if somebody snatches from you, you're going to be upset. I don't know if there's even any insurance coverage that could really help you out with that sort of situation. So you could really have some cost in it, but the people can't really benefit from it if it's attached to your Apple Cloud account.
Right.
And I don't know, man. It's wild to me, man. I'm just really surprised by what this company does, man. And the things that they do, they're really, really surprising. Because if you think about like Oculus and Meta and the metaverse, man, they did this. This is not new. This is really going back to the whole reason why, Tim, I was on I was Team Android. I said we did it first. We did it first. We released this technology first. You guys are getting the technology 2 years later. But for some reason, whenever it gets released with Apple, it's like, man, it's like the latest thing. It's like it's the hottest thing out there. Although it's technology that's come out a couple of years before. It just happens to be transparent glass instead of opaque or glass. Glass that you can't see through. I'm just really surprised, man. I don't know what to say. Now, when I look at like Tim, you can speak to this, man. When I look at like the dividends that I get paid from the Apple stock, man, it's nothing even worth bragging about, man. I might get paid 49 cents a share or something like that. Not even 49. I want to say 25, man. It's not even anything worth bragging about, man. But I don't know, man. Tim, if you had an opportunity, to decide today whether you want to be Team Apple or Team Android, would you still opt to be Team Android today?
To me today, it doesn't really matter. It's basically the same thing, just different, just a different interface. But the features is the same across the board. I mean, nobody's innovating anymore. So to me, it would just be whatever is cheaper, whatever I can get, and they can give me what I need. It really don't matter. It really don't. It's all the same.
Yeah,
you can get one or two pros on each device, but for the most part, across the board, it's the same thing.
It generally is. It generally is. One thing I will say is that the overall construction is definitely interesting. It seems like a cell phone, or like a watch that's like, a cell phone that's like 5 years old can function in today's time in a seamless manner. Whereas in the Android world, it seemed like it was just bogged down with, like, maybe because there was so many options on like different tools you can add there. You can add this application, you can add that application. Whereas Apple has like a narrow focus. It says, okay, we're not going to accept everybody's app. You know, you're gonna have to go through our tests in order for you to be allowed into our ecosystem. And then we have to limit your access to the batteries. One of the key reasons why I actually subscribed to Apple was for privacy purposes. It was because I really personally wanted to make sure that I did not expose myself to the Google's data pool, right? I didn't allow Google to be able to track all of my data. I want to have someone who's going to say, hey, okay, you can't ask me for access in this regard right here. You can't ask for my browsing history. You can't have access to all these different aspects of my information. And I don't want you to make it a mandatory part of like me being able to use the product. So that's why I really bought into it. And I said, okay, I kind of like how they prioritize security, and I like the fact that it's an American company, man. I feel like the fact that it's a company that's here, it puts you in a position for you to be able to benefit, because these companies are not going to do something completely malicious and 100% benefit from you without you being able to hold them accountable for the things that they're doing towards you. So I appreciated that. Beyond that, I think that you were right, Tim. You do have exposure to essentially the same exact interface, just different delivery mechanisms. I do like I said, like the closed in loop. I can look at my Find My, and people can share the location with me, and I can be able to say, hey, okay, I see this person is here. I see that person is here, and we can kind of know about each other. And the other thing, Tim, Perry, I don't know if you were aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
I broke my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to accidentally make a call. Like if you press the home button 3 times, Tim, it makes a phone call. But on the Apple phone, you can have like people on your SOS list where whenever you make a phone call to the 911, it sends all of them your location, and it sends all of them a message saying, hey, your contact is reaching out to 911,
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but Sim, that's the thing though. You're talking about technology that been around 2 years ago.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
Because I
I'm
was
saying.
gonna
Like, all those
say,
features
I'd
been
heard
around
about that,
on
but I
Android.
never used it.
That's the embarrassment that comes with Apple, man. You share stuff like it's new and it's something that's not.
Right.
Come
They
on,
just
guys.
do no, they
What
just
about this
do
one?
no, they do, but I give Apple credit, because what they do is they do a thorough job of making sure it's ready for prime time. And they do some tweaks to make it more marketable. Compared to stuff on Android.
Wild West over there, man. Listen, you just figure it out as you go. So what were you saying? Were you going to say, Perry?
No, I was just going to say
SOS thing.
No, yeah, it's just about that. Yeah, I'd heard that that you could do some some features like that. And that's the thing. Most people don't even use them, right? They don't use any of the features that really the features like that and everything. But yeah, man, it's all for the look, man. A lot of it's just for the look. That's what it's all about. It's I mean, let's face it. I think Jordans are a little different. There's some nostalgia there for a lot of people, obviously, but I do think beyond that, the majority, especially younger, right? It's just about having them, being seen. Being seen. The fact that people stand in line waiting for them is that's what it's about. Having to have the next big thing.
I mean, I did that way back in I remember I did that 2001. That's when I started putting together my my Jordan. I had a little phase with the Jordans, but yeah, I did that for a little bit. But then I said, man, you know what? Having to be out here camped out for a while, this doesn't really make sense. Now, this is what Peter Investor M said. He says, yeah, ever since he said from the time Jonathan Ives left Apple, their focus on design and utility went down. Yeah, I think it's a tricky position if we really think about like shareholders. And I don't know if we were talking about this on our last stream, that majority of the focus ends up being on satisfying shareholders and less so about really maintaining the certain level of integrity of the company or sticking to the company's old roots. And I'm up there thinking now that that I think that shareholders could definitely come in and dissect your company and make it into something completely different than what you thought it would be. So I don't know if I'm fully subscribed to the idea of shareholders being able to dictate every single move my company's making, but that's what ultimately happens whenever you put yourself out there in the public market space, right? Now, Tim might be able to speak to this. I don't know about you, Perry, but I can't really speak too much of Star Trek. But yeah, Peter says, what comes to mind is Star Trek holodeck technology next, right? Holodeck technology, let me see if I can pull it up. This is holodeck. It's holodeck. Yeah. It's essentially the same thing. Where you kind of map out the external world in order for you. Oops. You map out the external world, and you kind of have like a digital version of that same thing, man. What do you guys? I want to know what you guys think here in a second. Let me get to it. I want to know what you guys think about the security aspect of this right here. Let's see. Share. Okay. All right. So this is what Peter Investor M is talking about. He says there's a vacant holodeck on an Enterprise D arc. Oops, not that. So it looks like it's the technology that allows holodeck is a fictional device from the television Star Trek, in which it uses hologram projected electronic magnetic energy, which creates the illusion of solid objects to create a realistic 3D simulation of real or imaginary settings in which participants can freely interact with the environment as well as objects and characters, and sometimes predetermined narratives. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see this. I think that it's scary, even myself, right? I think it's scary, the whole idea of how much we trust these companies. We're introducing them into our world. I personally don't think it's a good idea to put your children on social media. And did you guys watch the documentary Social Dilemma? Did you see that, Tim?
Mm-mm.
Did you see that, Perry?
I feel like I did see it. Yes. Yeah, I did see it.
It was on Netflix.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. It's eye-opening.
Right? So Tim, it's a documentary, right? Imagine like almost like a dope dealer, right? Imagine a dope dealer, right? So he has his customers that he gives the product, whatever, to, right? But then he doesn't want his children to consume those same exact products that he's given to everybody else. So it's the same exact thing in Social Dilemma, where there's the people who are leaders in these technology corporations. They're saying, hey, no cell phones in this house. We don't want these tech companies to know what's going on in this house. So you're not allowed to have your phone on inside this house. But they'll encourage you to post your children on social media. They'll encourage you to talk about different events that you have with your family. But to the children, they're saying, hey, no, don't bring that phone into this house, because I don't want the tech companies to know what's going on with us.
They know the evils.
Huh?
Yeah, they know the evils, right?
Exactly.
They're involved in it.
So I mean, how is it that you can sit up here and encourage everybody to consume these products? Here we are with Apple Vision. Now it can see your world. It knows how big your living room is, how big your bedroom is, how big your kitchen is. What are the products? I mean, you think that it's not seeing products? It's not able to identify products that are in its purview to be able to say, okay, looks like he has this much milk right now. Okay, so maybe we might want to put some milk in his queue, some kind of reminder of things that he's already consumed. You know, we're seeing that he's running low on it, so then he's going to go ahead and have to buy some soon. I think that I saw a documentary. It's a little bit of a tangential thing. I saw a documentary with some whistleblowers where she was complaining about OpenAI, and what she was saying is OpenAI wants to be your one-stop shop, right? ChatGPT. They want you want to be your one-stop shop, so you only come to them for all your various things, your various needs, and they want to be able to have that information to the point where they're using it. They're using it in order for them to be able to market to you, and so now they're the delivery mechanism by which you actually are getting information, and so you start to rely on them, and then you start to subscribe to their products, and you can't really get off it. And if we really are being honest, Apple does that same exact thing. I mean, it's one product after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, you know.
Yep.
But maybe I'm just mad because I'm not a heavy shareholder and I'm not getting all the profits from it. But I think that it's something we really need to be thinking about. You know, there's no way we could allow these tech companies the same way we let strangers into our house. We say, hey, okay, here's my living room. Here's my child. My child is 3. So I want you to watch my child as they grow up. I want you to see their mannerisms, their habits. I want you to see the things that they're doing, they're not doing, and it's okay for you to see it, you know.
But Sim, I think we too emphasize much on that. I think Peter Investor M already stated it, they always collect the data on us. I think we just using this, but the data's already been done. Even before we got to the part with social media, think about just when we had the rotary telephones. They was wiretapping then. So they was listening in on conversations then when they wanted to. I mean, when they had to go through the switchboard, they had operators that would post you in. So, I mean, I don't think it's nothing new. I mean, I think the fact that we got a phone and you got a camera, they already watching. Right. So to say that that's going to be, I think we already behind it. We already lost that one. So it's really about now who can collect the most data. So now I can know how to market you for whatever I want to market you for.
Data is
because
man.
If you think about it, the microphone is always going off. I mean, how do you think that when you start talking about, I want to get something to eat, I want to go to Walmart, and as soon as you unlock your phone and look at it, Walmart ads popping up.
Yep.
So, I just think that, at this point, it's just how can I continue to gather the data to manipulate your consumerism is the key.
Get you to part with them dollars, man.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, man. It's
but they already got our data, so that's already.
I forgot. Man.
Think about when you first signed up to go. Anybody went to any public school, when you started kindergarten, first grade, or preschool, they got your data because you had to put your social security number down somewhere. So that's already done.
I guess when we think about it, like that's how those catalogs end up being sent to you back in the day, right? So you would have these catalogs that you would order from, and they probably heard it. They were eavesdropping, and they heard you talking about something, being able to purchase something. Yeah.
I mean, even think about HIPAA. That's data collection.
It is, and it's being technically shared with the likes of Epic and these corporations.
Because your HIPAA information is shared through the paid pharmaceutical companies that has money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what everybody's going for. These companies a lot of them is just a front. Now they're making money with the front, but it's a front for data. McDonald's is making money off hamburgers, but they got the most expensive real estate in the world. It's kind of like that, right?
They do, man. And Peter Investor M says that there's a concept of planned obsolescence where the companies don't make their products last longer and always sell you the next upgrade. Yeah, that's very true. I don't know how, Apple was caught because they were saying that they were slowing down the OS or the older phones in order for them to move you towards an upgrade. And they were caught doing it. And I can't remember what they said the explanation was for like slowing it down. They were saying something about like the battery drainage and over time. And I do see the technology where it states that it doesn't really charge your phone all the way throughout time, because something about lithium, you can only fully charge it so many times before then the next charge is not going to fully charge it, although it's going to reflect as a full charge. So it's really, really true. So Mandalia Lab Network Automation says what needs to happen is an understanding how to use the data to benefit. There is Perry, around the same time that documentary came out, Social Dilemma, there was a set of, dang, man, I wish I could remember. It was a documentary where the guy, Brian Johnson, who is the biohacker, I don't know if you guys have seen that guy. He's the guy who spends $2 million in order for him to have a youthful disposition. He's like 40 years old, but he gets his son and he gets his son's plasma, and he draws his son's plasma out of him, and then he injects it into himself in order for him to have a more useful presentation. Did you ever see that?
I've never seen it.
Anyway, so he was in that documentary, and he was in the documentary, and they talked about how there were these guys that were out there who who were telling the companies, hey, you need to let people sell their data instead of you guys just profiting off it. Let people put their data out there in the open market and let them figure out a way to actually make money instead of just you guys being the only ones that win. It needs to be a situation where it's an equal value position for both you and the people. You just can't be collecting all this data and you making trillions and billions of dollars off them. And Peter Investor M says that he saw it. Yeah. So I can't remember what it was. It was a whole bunch of like hacker guys, tech guys who were having this conversation, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know what to expect next out of Apple. I do see that this product is something that's connected directly to your cell phone, man. They are saying that the next version of cell phones will not really have like a hardware interface. It's either something we're going to wear on our body, or it'd be something that we actually have like as this product. But I wouldn't be surprised. I remember there was a conversation that said something about virtual reality needs to be really studied because you shouldn't be letting children under 12 use it because of how close it is to your eyes. And it negatively impacts you because it doesn't allow you to develop like the dynamic vision. Because even now, one of the issues we have with computers is that we're sitting so close to our screen all the time. We're not being challenged in order for us to look at products that are far and close. And that's part of the reason why our eyes get compromised, So
makes sense.
Do you guys feel like, I mean, you guys are too smart to really ask this question, but do you guys feel like you can see companies prioritizing people's health and wellness ahead of profits?
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. As much as possible.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
I don't even know if I've even heard that conversation with this whole Apple Vision Pro thing. It's like, it almost seems like Apple ends up being one of the companies that's like, they can't do no wrong unless they get caught. But a lot of times they can't do no wrong. They're like the favorite company, the favorite child, and they don't really get put in the hot seat.
Right. Yep.
But is it really Apple fault?
I think Apple plays a part in it, man.
Yeah, but now you taking all responsibility off the consumer because the consumer don't have to buy.
Well, not all of it, man. Not all of it. I'm just saying Apple plays a role in it, though. Right?
Yeah, but most people don't have to be. Consumerism still falls on the person. Apple's still gonna put products out, and people have to sit back and really understand that you don't have to be part of everything that goes on. People have to learn patience. It's better to sit still sometime and observe than to always be in the know. Sometimes the spectator is the best position because you get a chance to see everything with vision. Whereas when you actually in it, you're only seeing it versus your sight, which is very limited.
Right.
Yeah, man. I think that it's a really good point. So we should hold the people more accountable because they need to be putting on their own masks first and not expect the companies to put on their mask and help them out. If anything,
but that's not the company's job. It never was. It's no different than their employer. It's not their employer's job to, it's not the employer's job for them to have a comfortable retirement. That's on them. That's why they took away the pension. The employer made it clear that we are not going to be responsible for you get older and don't have no money.
And y'all are living longer too.
So I think, and not to, take any, Apple do play a part, yes, but I think their part is 20%. I think the consumer is 80%.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they came up with the money, man. I'm still not understanding it.
They're not understanding it. They're still trying to find it. Because it's not there. So there is for some people, but overall, it's not there.
But you already
hasn't been delivered yet.
No, I don't know if they are or not.
Perry.
Yeah,
here we are, February, right?
Huh?
February right now, right?
Right.
Watch Atlanta in May.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
Watch Atlanta in May with these with these goggles.
Oh yeah, they'll be everywhere. They'll be everywhere. I remember when Beats headphones popped up. Goodness gracious. Everybody had on Beats. $500. You know what I'm saying? $399, $499. Everybody. It was like a symbol. You know what I'm saying? So
That is, man.
yep. Yeah, it's wild.
But
And
I
you're
think
gonna have some of the it's crazy, man. Just look. Wait until it hits the headlines that, whether it's something gang related or something like that, and somebody gets ran up on and they got them goggles on.
But I mean, it's gonna happen though,
It's
man.
bound to happen.
It's just that. I mean, one move, man. What
It's
I'm
bound to
saying,
happen, man.
like I said earlier, they're not going to be able to get it though. They're not going to be able to really go far with it because now Apple ID has that closed-in system, man. I don't think that it's a worry. You're going to take the $3,500 loss, but they're not going to be able to benefit from it. They can strip it for parts, man.
Oh no,
Yeah,
you get that Apple Care. You probably pay like $50 a month.
you think
They'll
so?
probably have some Apple Care or something on them.
You to replace it? Nah.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
My Apple Care for my laptop cost me $350 for 3 years. So I don't know, man. Apple Care. I mean, it's going to be easy to drop that thing and break it, man. So yeah. I'll go ahead and let Tim give us any closing statements, man. Let us. So yeah, Tim, what do you think, man? And are you surprised by the moves that the consumers have really made in this regard in reference to them not just choosing it based upon the dollar value, but really choosing it based upon brand recognition and being able to buy into a specific culture, man? Are you surprised by it? You're muted. You're muted.
Not at all. I think Apple's doing a great job. I think Apple's doing what Apple been doing. I think network or automation stated it best in the comments that unfortunately people are programmed to keep up with the trends. We must admit that Apple's marketing strategy is genius. And but I don't think it's just Apple that's genius. I think most companies now, because they capture so much of our data, their market is going to be very hard to deal with. But I think it goes back to one of the things that Perry said when we first started the stream was, we got to sometimes sit back and remove ourselves from all the distractions. Because when you do that, it gives you a chance to think. It gives you a chance to really process. And I think a lot of times we don't do that because consumerism is at an all-time high. And then their marketing builds in FOMO, the fear of missing out. And with those two things combined, you got a dangerous combination. And I think that people just really need to sit back and focus on what's more important. Because for me, I think for most people, unless they have just a lot of discretionary income left over, I think the same people that went out and financed and bought the provision on the credit card, they probably should have took that saved $3,500 and went out and bought $3,500 worth of Apple stock. Then you really be talking if you want to talk about something. So that's what I think.
Man, mic drop right there. Listen, a smart person would definitely have bought that much in shares as opposed to being able to just buy that product one time. Because I mean, what did Peter Investor M said? For each share, we're getting paid 24 cents for each share, but that's 24 cents more than anyone else who owns a product is able to get, And one position you cannot be fired from is that shareholder position. So yeah, so Perry, what do you think, man? Are you surprised by the move? You are a fellow Apple cult member, So are you surprised by the move? What do you make of it, man?
Man, I'm not surprised that people are obviously obviously running out here, spending, pretty much going wild for it. It's it's par for the course, like with anything else. And I think the phones, the hype around the phones have kind of died down. So I think it's just a part of the cycle, and this is something new. So I'm not surprised at all. I think it's sad that people. I mean, we know a lot of the people who bought it. They're not in the best financial shape. We already know that. So to drop that amount of money, and I was looking. I was looking at a stat. I think it said, and this was probably a couple years ago. It might be a little bit better, but I doubt it. I think it said that 8 out of 10, so 80% of 80% basically of households have, some form of consumer debt. You just said households or individual, but essentially, so that alone tells you, I mean, the majority of the people that bought it, they have debt. And that's consumer debt, right? So, that just tells you priorities are not in alignment. But we see that, we see that from the government down. So really no surprise there. But it is sad. I think it's just people not being willing to go the hard route, right? To get things in order, to do whatever. I mean, if you're going to purchase something like that, certainly to go out and purchase it this early on, where you're basically going to be, you're going to test it basically for the market, on behalf of the market. You would hope that people would be paying for it in cash. So the deal is many of those people who did go and get it, they put it on credit. They're going to drag it out a couple of years. So those are really going to be $5,000 or, $5,500, Apple, gear. So it is what it is, though. It's just an extension of what people, people are already doing. What I will say, and I encourage everyone, is that's why it's important to make the right moves now. So down the road, you're in a position where, hey, you can go and drop. It doesn't matter if they're 5,000 or 10,000. If you want to do that, you can just go do that. And if you got your stuff together, not every purchase has to be, it doesn't always have to make sense if you're financially set up. So, I just think this is an extension of how people have already been doing.
Man, but yeah, so appreciate you guys coming through. So yeah, I'll go ahead and close. So Peter Investor M says that we should do a show on the Fed no longer raising the interest rates. Yeah, man, we'll have a conversation about that. I'm fortunate to have two brothers who are real estate millionaires, man, guys who've made really good money out there in the space. And they're teaching me a lot, teaching me the game, helping me really to develop the ability to reason like they do. And that's the value and the true treasure of what we have here. When you have a Perry Unlikely who can speak to you about crypto, he can speak to you about just building his portfolio overall. He can speak to you about being able to manage multiple aspects of real estate. We have Tim, who was also the same person who built his portfolio on his own, spent time at the library in order for him to educate himself and to become knowledgeable in the space of finance. And now he's having conversations about becoming a hedge fund manager. He's having conversations about putting himself in different spaces as far as having these finance conversations. True treasures. The Intentional Millionaire and Perry Unlikely, my being able to connect with those brothers has allowed me to really develop a different mindset about the various conversations and the things that we see today, and just think about it. We're already in severe financial debt in America. And I understand that America is built off consumerism and our ability to be able to spend money. But there's no way we would be spending $3,500 on a given product when we could take that same money and use it towards investing in Apple products. There should be a rule. You cannot buy more in consumer products than you actually own in shares of a given brand. Let's just start the conversation there. If we don't own as much as we're spending in products, we're really going backwards. And we're not going to be the beneficiaries of any transactions that happen people who own tens of thousands of millions of shares, they're sitting up there saying, okay, you guys spent $700 million the first 10 days of this release. Okay, I like the sound of that. This is really good, but we can't really say that if we're not in position to do that. So do what you can, put on your mask first, figure out a way to really have better conversations, one with yourself, and then ultimately, hopefully, the people around you, in order for you to be better positioned to not find yourself in a bad situation going into the future with this right here. And salute to Lisa Ballard 911. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming through. She says, yeah, finally recouping my college funds. Yeah, I mean, it's something. It's really something for us to go into debt, going into consumer debt. It's really wild. I appreciate everybody that came through. Peter Investor M, Mendeleo Network Automation, Lisa Ballard, 911 Health, and of course, the Intentional Millionaire, Imperial Likely. I am Simcia, and we will see you later. Peace.
Oh, I think he dropped off.
Hey Perry, you still there?
Man,
yeah, I'm still here.
I kicked myself out.
You still
Yeah, I was like, I
live?
think he dropped off.
You still live?